From VTV Channel 6 studios in downtown Vernal, this is Local Point with your host, Chris Piner.
Welcome to Local Point, brought to you by Ashley Regional Medical Center. I'm your host, Chris Piner. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and joining me in the studio, we have Desiree Swank, the Program Manager for Domestic Violence Services. So welcome here.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Now, I mentioned that this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Is that every October?
Yes, every year.
All right, and what does that mean, to have a month about awareness? Today we're going to make people aware who are watching, but what exactly does that mean?
Well, you know, Chris, I think there's still that notion out there that people believe that domestic violence, that it's a private matter, that what happens in somebody's home is their business, that it shouldn't be anybody else's business. And we want to make the public aware that domestic violence is real, that it does happen, and that it does impact everyone. It impacts families and the victims and the community. So we just want to make sure people are aware of what domestic violence is and that it still happens.
And so this is something that is nationally recognized all around. In the month of October, we're going to be hearing a little bit about this nationwide, and here's your effort, right? Our effort here. Now, this is something that you work with, and domestic violence services, is that what it is?
Right.
All right. Well, so what exactly is considered domestic violence? I think we've got a basic image of it, but...
Right. Well, the official term for domestic violence is conduct involving violence, threat of violence, or any attempt to commit a criminal offense when committed by one cohabitant against another. Basically, it gets divided into three categories, and the category that most people are aware of would be the physical aspects of domestic violence, which is, the hitting and pushing, slapping, stalking, restraining. One of the big ones is interference with a communicative device, so they'll take a cell phone away from somebody. So that can be deemed as domestic violence. But some of the ones that people are less aware of is the emotional abuse, or also the verbal abuse. And that's when a partner will blame the other partner for everything, or they don't accept responsibility for their own actions. They control the partner's behaviors. That's a big one. Also, they isolate them from friends and family. And in the verbal abuse, there's the threats. They threat to kill somebody or threat to use violence. They will make constant accusations of cheating, or they'll make degrading or negative comments to their partner, things like that.
So it's a pretty wide scope, and all of these things fall under that umbrella.
Right.
Do you have some statistics on? I mean, this is something that doesn't just happen in the movies, and it doesn't just happen in big cities. It's happening right here in small town America.
Right.
Give me some of these the statistics you have.
Okay. Well, just imagine 1 out of 4 women are affected by domestic violence, and that's a big number.
For this reason, then, 25% of all women. That's incredible.
Right. In the United States, an average of 3 women lose their lives every day to domestic violence.
Daily?
Across the nation, yes.
Wow.
In the state of Utah, during the year 2011, there were 33 domestic violence-related deaths. And from 2004 to 2010, there were an average of 24 deaths a year.
Wow.
So,
and mind you, you're giving the extreme death results. Some of this violence, as you described earlier, is not going to be counted in those kind of statistics.
Right. So I just want to point out that that women between the ages of 16 and 24 are the most vulnerable to the intimate partner abuse. But domestic violence affects people regardless of their gender, age, sexual orientation, race, or religion. So it does affect everybody pretty much.
Right. And your statistics mentioned women, but men are also sometimes victims of domestic violence.
Right.
Interesting. And do these things fit right here? Do you have any kind of local information?
You know, I don't have our local statistics, but just to, you know, we do have a women's crisis center here locally. And last year we served 25 women and 45 children. That's just the people that stayed at our shelter.
Right.
We also have our crisis line where people call in daily looking for information, or, you know, looking for resources where they can get help, things like that. And so we serve anyone who, you know, if they're interested in finding that information out, we serve anyone who calls us.
Now, you had mentioned to me off camera that you were even reluctant to mention the name Women's Crisis Center.
Right.
Would you mention that as well?
Right.
Why the reluctance?
We want to make sure that men also know that they can call us, that we provide domestic violence services to anyone, not just women.
Right. Albeit the majority are there, but still that it's open for anybody, and your services are available. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about your services and how people can get help if needed in the next little segment. So we'll be right back to hear more from Desiree Swank after this message from our sponsor, Ashley Regional Medical Center.
If you need an MRI, CT, or nuclear medicine study, here are some things that you should know. Ashley Regional Medical Center has the most advanced technology available in rural Utah. The radiologist at Ashley Regional has 2 board certifications in the field of radiology, including nuclear medicine. The technologists at Ashley Regional are skilled, friendly, and informative in meeting your needs. From X-rays to CTs, Ashley Regional is Northeastern Utah's choice for quality radiology services.
Welcome back to Local Point. Joining me is Desiree Swank of Domestic Violence Services, and we've just been talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month and some general statistics about domestic violence. I wanted to ask a couple other questions. I mean, we hear about this kind of thing happening. Why do people typically stay with somebody in a domestic violence situation? Because that does happen. Right.
You know, when a relationship starts, it doesn't start off as a domestic violence relationship. That over time, the controlling, the isolation happens over time, and it does start to escalate. So essentially, though, they don't want to leave their partner. They love their partner. They just want the abuse to stop. And there's a hope that their partner will stop the domestic violence. That's probably the biggest reason. Other reasons are they've been isolated and they don't realize what resources are out there for them, or that there's options and that there's help.
Or they're afraid.
Right, that's a big one. They've been threatened that if you leave me, I will kill you, or I'll kill the children, or I'll take the children from you, things like that. So there are those threats. So they are very afraid about that. Sometimes it's lack of resources. A woman might be looking at homelessness, or if she only has, well, they may not even have a high school diploma or things like that. So they're looking at minimum wage type jobs, things like that. So they're worried about things like that. They become dependent on their partner for financial support, or sometimes there's some disabilities there, or some mental illness or things like that. They've become very dependent on their partner, and they're really worried about trying to be out on their own. And as you said, the safety. Sometimes when they are leaving their partner, that is the most dangerous time in the relationship.
Right.
So that is a big one.
Right, and I want to ask again about I really am kind of guilty of the same thing that I mentioned in the first segment, which is just not really thinking about men in this situation. I know that's the minority, but might there be even some embarrassment from men?
Absolutely.
Because you don't think about that? Would a man be reluctant to report something like this?
That's
saying,
very true.
Don't want to, I mean, that happens, I'll bet.
Right, that happens a lot. And with anybody, there's a lot of denial, a lot of, oh, I'm not a victim, what are you talking about?
Right, well, it could be embarrassment from anybody.
Exactly.
Too, yeah, that's true. Such an interesting and sensitive topic. But let's just, somebody is aware of something happening. Let's just say maybe not in their own home, but they're aware that it's happening. What do they do? Can they report this kind of thing? Should they go to the family? Should they go to you?
Well, one of the things that they can
police,
do, right? No, and if you're witnessing it, absolutely call call law enforcement, call 911. If you're in an apartment and you hear it going on through the walls, definitely call.
Something to report, definitely.
Yes, definitely report.
Now, if you're part of it, involved in it, it's happening to you or somebody in your family, then what?
Well, first of all, know that there is help. There is help out there.
Right.
Sometimes just getting information, learning about what domestic violence is, educating your own family about what domestic violence is. If you're seeing someone come to work with bruises, or you're starting to see the stalking behavior, as in their partner is constantly calling them on their personal phone, or they'll call the work phone, you'll see that stalking behavior. You can document that information.
Right.
That could be used later on if the victim were to decide to get a protective order or things like that.
Right.
So
What you want people to know is you're here,
yes.
we're ready to throw that life preserver, just call on us.
Right. We have a crisis and information line that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Is
that something you can share, the phone number with us?
Yes, that phone number, and actually I think it'll be on the screen, but it's locally 435-781-2264, and there's someone there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So anytime you want information or just need someone to talk to, that is a service that we provide.
At any time, and to stop it the sooner the better.
Right.
We don't have a whole lot of time left, but could you just quickly tell me some of the services that are offered once they initiate that?
So for safety reasons, we do have the shelter. So if you are in danger, please call us. Yes, call us. And we don't typically house men. However, we can make arrangements with hotels and things like that to get them in safe. Our biggest thing is we offer support, education, and resources into our community.
Okay. Now, is this something that people can search for on the internet?
Yes.
Vernal Domestic Violence Services?
We don't have a website. We have a state website. It's the UDVC. So if they Google UDVC, it stands for the Utah Domestic Violence Council.
There are ways to search and find out, and a listing in a phone book or through information?
Yeah, I'm not sure how available. You can contact dispatch. They're aware of where we're at.
Dispatch could do it. And one more time, the phone number is?
781-2264.
2264. All right.
Yeah.
Desiree, thank you so much for being here. Such an important topic and such a good service that you do and you offer. And thank you for watching today's show. That's all for now. Please join us next time right here on VTV Channel 6.